everything on your end.
Okie dokie.
Much appreciated. I need Dalmo saliva. Yay.
Gross.
There it is. Yeah, even the description of it's gross. Dalmo saliva. The odor of Dalmo saliva has been likened to that of the bloated corpse of a blue cheese artisan drowned in a Grand Company camp latrine and left to sit in the hot sun for a set night.
That was delicious.
Yeah, right. Super gross. Alright, so I need 1 block of wing glue. We're going to do a lot of behind-the-scenes thing while we're doing the podcast. You're going to grind, and I'm going to sit here, and I'm going to just craft.
Crafting is important.
Yeah, I need to boost my gear.
I have to talk a little bit now.
Yes, you do. Can you hear everything?
I can.
So my voice and your voice and the game audio is going well?
Yep, I heard everything.
So
It was so weird.
One other question. How's this headset sound compared to my usual headset?
I thought you were me for a second.
What do you mean?
You sounded so good, I thought you were me.
Oh. Yeah, this is the newer headset.
Yeah, this is what you sound like.
I had a few people... Sorry, what were you going to say?
Compared to my usual headset.
Oh.
Your audio were me for a second. Your audio through my microphone into...
into my ears. So, I did one, dang, what was I thinking about? Oh yeah, I did a live stream and I was talking with my buddies at work. He's like, hey, you should do like audiobook readings or something.
Yeah, I'm eventually going to be doing stuff like that.
Yeah. It'd be awesome if we did audiobook readings.
Yeah.
I don't do voices, that's the thing. I just talk kind of monotone.
Well, I mean, they're not necessarily, necessary.
Yeah, but I mean, to separate character voices, so that way people can understand. You know what I mean?
So they know that you're not just talking as one person.
Yeah, right. A one-person conversation carried on. Alrighty. So, are you ready?
Second. Say something.
Say something?
Thank you. Just making sure that everything was recording properly. Say hello.
Hello, everybody. Hello.
Hello. God, I missed that movie. Watch that movie again.
What was that from again? Was it Mrs. Doubtfire?
Yeah, Miss Doubtfire. You good people, you know.
Yeah.
Robin Williams.
I miss him so much. Him, George Carlin, Gene Wilder. A lot of good people are gone.
Yeah. Unfortunately, people don't live forever.
Yeah.
Even though they want to.
Yeah, right. No fountain of youth.
Ugh. So you can't hear anything from my game, right?
No.
Okay.
I think I can hear you click-clacketing on your controller, though.
Yeah, I do that. Oh, I just got hit by a giant bar.
Ouch. That sounds painful.
Yeah. Oh, anyway, we're supposed to be doing something, not just chit-chatting, right?
Yeah, right? By the way,
hello
everyone. The Bubble Ninja 720 here, along with...
Step Spacey.
And we're bringing you Babbling Beards of the Redux.
I'm mostly just getting beat up a little bit.
Mostly just getting beat up, eh?
Yeah. So as anyone who's ever watched our show may know, we tend to have a background thing going on. In this case, we're actually separate in our background things.
Yeah.
Where I'm playing Steel Rising. In order to prepare myself for a video I want to make later on for a friend of mine, who I call my boss lady. Well, it being Souls-like, I'm getting my butt kicked, but I'm doing okay.
And for me, I am basically just doing background stuff on my live stream character on Final Fantasy XIV.
Live streaming. I gotta say, I like this game. It's got some fairly interesting.
It's got some oomph.
Enemies. Yeah. Like, I just killed a guy who has a violin for a weapon.
Interesting.
Yeah, you jerk like that. Anyway, so today's topic, huh?
Yeah, today's topic is remakes and remasters. The difference, and plus what we would like to see, what we don't want to see, and what we think was completely stupid.
And unnecessary.
Yeah.
It's
Here's
funny
looking
when it
at you, Last of Us Part 1 and 2 remade.
How many has Part 1 gotten so far? 2 of them?
Well, they had a remaster for the PS4, and then they just remade Part 1, and they just basically gave it the same engine that they did for Part 2.
Mm-hmm. It's like, don't get me wrong, I thoroughly enjoyed Part 1. I don't think it needed a second remake.
Yeah, well, for me, though, I think that one's more of a remaster than a remake, because technically it was just a graphic overhaul and a little bit of a combat overhaul. I don't think they really changed a lot of it. Right. Of course, I haven't seen anyone play the remake at all.
You know, I have seen some screenshots and videos from it, but I haven't really watched it.
Yeah, I've seen a little bit of clips as well. But I will say this. Naughty Dog did a smart thing, and instead of, well, especially for The Last of Us Part 2, I'm meaning to say, that if you already own The Last of Us Part 2, you do not need to spend the full amount of money to get the perks of the quote-unquote remake for it. You only need to pay $10 for like a DLC thing, and that gives you the quote-unquote mercenaries mode of Last of Us and some other cut content. Which I'm trying to wrestle around, like, should I buy that and then put that on the channel or not? I don't know.
Yeah, I know we've had some fun with the mercenary. Well, I guess the Firefly and whatnot in that game.
That was the multiplayer.
Yeah,
the mercenaries thing that I'm talking about, I believe it's single player, and you get to choose a character from the storyline, and it's basically just survive as long as possible.
Oh, yeah, like not like Mortal Kombat. The game series that I'm currently playing on my channel.
Yeah.
What the heck is that thing called? Resident Evil. Got it.
Yeah,
nailed it.
There you go. Got it.
Wasn't even stumped. I knew exactly what I wanted to say. Not stumped at all. Yeah, they have a mercenary mode. Even 5 has a mercenary mode. I don't want to play it.
I'm kind of dreading the fact when we go to play 5 together, due to the fact that you can't move and aim or move and reload. But we're digressing.
Oh yeah, sorry. Live streams. No, not live streams. What are we talking about?
We're talking about remakes and remasters. All right, so let's get into it. What? Do you have any remakes that you think that were really good recently?
Really good remakes recently. Well, actually, I know this is going to come a little out of left field, but Star Ocean, the second story R.
Yeah, I saw you playing that and getting trophies for it.
Well, I've actually been playing the first one, which was also a remake, but as far as I know, nothing much was changed about it. It was just I want to say a console port, basically.
Okay.
Because it's originally a Super Nintendo game.
Right.
But it's kind of funny. Like, I found a bit of dialogue that never got deleted from the original version. Yeah. And it coming from Japan, instead of having the Super Nintendo, had the Super Famicom. So it's kind of funny to see it referencing the SFC instead of the SNES.
Right. So that's like basically kind of like the pixel remaster for the Final Fantasies 1 through 6 that was recently released.
Yeah. Although I have to admit, like, while I had seen some of it before, I've never actually played the original game. Well, now I have. I've beaten it. But
I've never played Star Ocean either.
Oh, I love Star Ocean. I played, what's his name? The remake seemed to be pretty faithful, based solely off of, appearance and whatnot. And beyond that, it also seemed to, not change much in the way, which is good. Like I said, it seemed more like a remastering of the original than it did a remake of anything.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was just a remaster.
Yeah, but the sequel of it, the Star Ocean 2, the second story horror, that one is an actual remake, where like scenes from the original game look completely different now, and like the artwork is greatly improved, and I haven't got the game itself. I just played the demo for it. One second, I got a cough.
You all right?
I farted. Anyway,
I was wondering what that sound at the end was.
So it's like the what I played of the demo of it looks so much more beautiful while maintaining the style and the feel of the original version of it. Granted, the original version of it I played on PlayStation, so it wasn't even the original version of it.
I'm gonna say for me, I will say a lot of people. Well, what a lot of people say, the Resident Evil 2 and 3 remakes, they were both good. They were warranted because they needed to get rid of the tank controls and fix camera angles, which, by the way, I was about to have a flame comment on your last video on 5 when you put the fixed camera angles on. I was like, please put it back.
Yeah.
I was talking to myself like, please don't leave it on that. Please don't leave it on that. And then you were like, how do I turn it back? I hope I can do that.
I was so worried I'd screwed myself over.
Yeah, right. I was like, oh God, please don't. And did you see my comment on it?
Yeah, they had the technology right there.
Yeah, and they didn't do it. That's one of my gripes about the stupid remakes for 2 and 3. Is they started at 2. My OCD is screaming, you have 0 and 1 to start with, not 2. And I'm like, I twitch. I want to play 0 and 1, but I don't want to deal with fixed camera angles, and I don't want to deal with friggin' tank controls.
I know for a little while.
I want the over-the-shoulder third person, or give me the first-person viewpoint.
I know that'd get Wham to play it if we got it in first person.
Yeah, I would definitely play it if it was other than what it is. And people were like, oh, 1's already been remade for the GameCube. Yeah, that was a remaster, technically. Graphical update and barely any changes. Now, they did change quite a bit in 2 and 3, and most of it was cut content, especially for 3, which, yes, it's upsetting. But I'm going to say that 3 was technically better than 2 in terms of the remake capacity, due to the fact that it was not over-fluffed with rehashed boss content.
Right. So, like, every battle you fought with Leon, you had to fight with Claire.
Yeah, and the time continuity was wrong, because by the time you run into those other characters, they should have been taken care of, and the puzzles should have been done, and stuff should have been inaccessible, or accessible. But you had to do pretty much all the same puzzles all over again, with a little bit of change.
Yeah, the only difference was Leon didn't get to see Claire, or Sherry, and Claire didn't get to see Ada.
Yeah, right? It's just like, and of course the last boss was technically different before you got, for your first playthrough. But they had it completely ass backwards because Claire is supposed to deal with Mr. X and Leon's supposed to deal with G. Birkin. They're not supposed to run into each other. And then, you know, the whole continuity about X getting ripped in half by G. Birkin, and it's like, why is he chasing Leon around in the lab?
Like, they tried to, I'm not even sure what they were trying to do. Maybe they got a bit too big for their britches and then realized, oh, shoot, we can't actually fit all this onto the space that we have available.
Yeah. And then, like, with people complaining about 3 being too short, yeah, they cut the content, which they shouldn't have. But 2 was only longer because you had to repeat shit. That's the only reason why it was longer.
2 got to be longer because you got to play through the same stuff that you did.
Yeah, you repeated content, which is annoying, and that's why it always grinds on my nerves whenever people keep harping on 2 is such an amazing game, 3 was such a joke. And then okay, so those were the good recent ones in my opinion.
Agreed. Like, I still enjoyed both of them, regardless of some of the issues. Like, I definitely have some issues with what has been said about them, so to speak.
Yeah.
Even admittedly, some of the things I've said about them, but it's fine.
I digress.
Yeah. It was funny because I thought they were going to go along release time, like they did. Like they were going to release each of the new ones along the same line as when they were originally released. So I was kind of expecting they were going to do 2, 3, then Veronica, then 4, then 5, and then the Revelations. But nope. They're like, we'll do 4 next because everyone likes 4.
You know it's a game that's also being remade that shouldn't have to be remade? World of Warcraft.
What?
You've never heard of World of Warcraft Classic?
Oh, yeah. It was funny because, I saw that they were basically doing all the catch-ups and stuff, doing all the release things at the same time, and I was like, eventually it's just going to be the same game again. They're going to have 2 servers running the same thing.
Yes, exactly. See, what they should have done, it was an interesting concept until they got to the part where they're saying, hey, we're remaking Cataclysm. Because Cataclysm is when everything changed. So this falls everyone, ladies and gentlemen that are listening to this podcast, into the purview of doesn't need to be remade.
Like you said, if they left it at WoW Classic,
No, they should have left it at Wrath of the Lich King. That was the last X-Pack they should have done. After that, technically it's no longer Classic, because once Cataclysm hits, sorry, it shouldn't even be spoilers, because how long ago it was. But the original world gets changed. Why it's called Cataclysm.
The upheaval.
It's not Classic anymore. Now, the difference between a remake and a remaster, a remake is usually when they take the game and they either change the storyline drastically or, for the most part, storyline change and gameplay change. Whereas remaster is more of a graphical update, I would say. So, a good remaster example is Diablo 2 Resurrected. Basically, it was just updated to play on consoles and PC, and it had a little bit of a, I guess, UI update, so that way it runs better, stuff like that. Still a good game. I love Diablo 2. I still need to finish it on my channel.
I still need to play it sometimes.
It's a good game. It's well worth the play. I'd be interested to see which class you play as.
Oh, so many choices.
Yes. Another good. Okay, so bad ideas for remakes would be for anything in the current PS4/PS5 generation, Switch, Xbox like One and all the other stuff. That generation is pretty much current and doesn't need to be remade yet. Or ever, depending.
I mean, we've still got people who haven't upgraded to 5 yet.
Yeah, like me. So
I will give kind of a bit of a caveat I hold in regards to a lot of remakes is if you're going to take a good game and remake it, and it's less than 2 generations ago, then there's no point to it. But if you're going to take a bad game and remake it,
there you go. That's a good point.
Maybe it was a good idea with poor execution. Yeah.
Sorry.
Something that had a good idea but poor execution, that'd be perfect for a remake. Perfect.
Like most of the NES games that should be remade, like the original Castlevania that had timers. Which is what I was going to get into. A lot of the NES games should be remade, like the original Castlevanias. Maybe do like a original Zelda remake, kind of make it up to date, like give it an open world kind of feel, stuff like that.
Kind of like what they did with
Link Between Worlds.
Yeah, the recently Nintendo re-released though.
Or Link's Awakening remastered.
Yeah, Link's Awakening. That's what I was thinking of. Yeah, that one had a cute look to it. It's like, come on, man, we could do that with the original one.
Right.
Although, admittedly, I kind of want to play the original one just as the original one now.
Yeah. So, a lot of the games that I have listed are from the SNES era, Super Nintendo. I don't know about you, but like those are a lot of mine because that's where I came in originally, was the Super Nintendo.
I started at the NES, but
yeah, my first console, I believe, was a Super Nintendo. It was either that or a Game Boy Brick. Can't remember, but my first actual console was a SNES. I was the first kid on my block to own one, and I was excited about it.
Nice.
Yeah. So, some of these games
I was generally last to own anything.
So a few of these games I have owned, and I would love to play them updated or like a little bit fine-tuned. And some of these games, well, actually, I say a lot of these games I never got to touch, and I would love to see them at least remastered. But a remake would be amazing. And the first one on my list is Arcana. I don't know if you've heard of Arcana.
No, maybe no.
Okay,
I'm gonna say no.
Arcana is a dungeon crawling RPG where your characters are like tarot cards, and you have human like people that are like in the flesh, and then you have spirits that are elemental that can join your team and stuff like that. And you're just basically going through a storyline. Like, it's first person mode, and you're like, you actually walk through the dungeons like they're mazes, I believe. And then the comet pops up, and the enemies are cards as well, and it's turn based. I would love to see something like that, especially since how they have a lot of I've noticed a lot of niche gaming recently popping up where it's like card combat, where you draw like skill cards and you use them and stuff like that.
Yeah, I've played a couple of newer games that do that sort of technology too. Can't remember right off the top of my head which one it was, but it was kind of like that tower game.
That tower game?
Yeah, it was kind of a roguelike type of game where you improve as you go along, and then you die, and then you start all over at the bottom of the tower, or you beat the tower.
Yeah, I know you're talking about, kind of. You have one?
Well, I mean, I've been told that I need to stop asking for this sort of thing, but I mean, I'm still the guy who's like, I want my Parasite Eve remade.
I would love that too, but that was on my list. That's actually in my PS1 era. list.
Yeah.
Parasite Eve, definitely want to see it remade. I never got the chance to play it, and it's one of another friend of mine's like favorite series. And from what I saw, it does look pretty cool, and I do want to play it. But I can't currently access it because either you have to bootleg it, and I don't trust internet to go bootleg stuff because I don't want to get viruses, or I don't have the money to purchase an exorbitantly gouged like hard copy because it's a collector's item.
Yep. And as I'd like to.
Yeah,
it's just like I just kind of it'd be a perfect remake. Everybody who's ever played it loved it, and it's like, come on.
I mean, you could even do it kind of like in the Resident Evil 2 vein. You could use their engine. You don't even have to have it It was turn-based, right?
It was RPG, but not entirely turn-based. It was more full action, everybody moving at the same time sort of thing.
Okay. I mean, I think they could adapt it to like the engine for Resident Evil 2 and 3, right? Don't you think so?
Yeah, I think it'd be fairly easy. I'd still prefer the original play style to it because, well, me and my RPG loving ways, but you know, it could work as a survival horror action adventure thing with the modern Resident Evil style.
Yeah.
I think that's more about how they went in the second game. The second game was a lot closer to that style.
I never got to see the second game. That was around the time where I couldn't afford anything, so I just kept playing my SNES games over and over again and figuring out other ways to beat it.
Yeah. One thing I got to say about the old style, you know, y'all kind of learned how to be better at things. I mean, Parasite Eve was the first PlayStation game we owned, and we couldn't afford a memory card right off the bat.
So you just basically had to play it for as long as you like beat it as far as you can in one sitting.
we got really good at everything leading up to the police station in that game. We got really good at those parts.
It's like playing a demo over and over again because you have a time limit.
Right. It's like, I can't get the game yet, but I can enjoy it now.
Right. So we're going back to good old Blizzard's like early heydays with this one. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's called Blackthorn. It was a SNES game. This one was a side-scrolling platformer with guns and bombs.
Oh, fancy!
And it was also a
Contra style,
kind of, but it was also puzzle solving.
That's like a puzzle game.
Like for instance, in the very first zone is like a mine. You play a character that's from another planet, and it's kind of like might and magic-y, where there's still there's sorcery in the world, and there's demons and stuff, but they kind of like orcs, and the orc demons or whatever they're called, they take over the humanoid-looking guys, and before they could be completely overrun, the king sends his son to Earth. And he grows up, he goes into like the military and stuff like that. He's like really, you know, hardened. And then as he's matured, he's grown in age and everything, he's experienced in combat, he gets whisked back to his own home world, and he has to save his people. And you are armed with a shotgun or like a pump action rifle and your own wits, and you basically just have to go through the game, and you can actually screw yourself over by using the items in the wrong way. Because there are consumables, like they're called hover bombs, where you throw the bomb on the ground and it'll hover off the ground, and it'll travel along the line until it hits an enemy or it hits a wall, and it'll explode. And you need some of those to blow up doors to access further along. And it was a password game, so basically, like as you complete a level, you get a password. and that was how you saved in that game. But it was really fun. I loved it growing up. Beat the tar out of it a bunch of times. Last boss was a little bit of a pain in the ass, but it was a fun game.
Yeah.
Love to see it remade. They did release it in the Blizzard pack for PlayStation on Sony, the Sony network, and it was because apparently there's like multiple versions of it.
Oh.
So they released all the versions along with like the Viking games that they had and all that other stuff, and I bought it just so I could play Blackthorn. And I will be eventually playing it on the channel.
Nice. Yeah.
You have any other did you have a long list or a short list?
I had a pretty short list because like I had that big point about you know, remaking bad things, but I do have a couple more I had to
okay,
list
your turn.
Now, I have played the first game of this series, but I never played the second one.
Okay.
And I always wanted to play it again, but I remember my friend back in the day, he had it and he lent it to me, and he's like, make sure you're level 10 before you fight the lion. And that's one of the things I remember the most about it. I beat the whole game. But it was called Legend of Legaia.
Oh, I haven't played either game, but I did watch a friend play the first one. That's the one where you get to input the attack combinations and get the combos and all that stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, that one was actually interesting. I kind of liked that one. I thought that one was kind of cool.
Oh yeah, I
never picked it up.
I was a big fan. I really liked that one.
I didn't even know they had a sequel.
Yeah, I remember seeing that there was a sequel, but I don't know. I just never really wanted to try it. Possibly because I'm like, what's the point in having a sequel to this game? It was just perfect.
Right.
And it ended well. So it's like, I don't know if I really want to play a sequel to it, but yeah, definitely want to see that one come back. Especially since I'm seeing people deciding to remake some old RPGs and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, definitely want to see that one come back if I'm going to get a good RPG.
Oh yeah. Okay, so for me, you know how everyone wanted to capitalize on Castlevania back in the day, and they wanted to make their own platformers and stuff like that, get that stuff off the ground. Well, they had one that was literally in the similar vein, because it was a vampire platformer, but it was more realistic in a way, and that was Bram Stoker's Dracula for the Super Nintendo. That one was fun, also aggravating, but it would be kind of cool to see that one remade. Just to try and kind of separate itself a little bit from Castlevania.
Yeah.
That one was pretty cool. I didn't play it for very long, but from what I remember, it might be nostalgia talking, but it was pretty good.
Yeah, that is one thing we have to worry about when it comes to talking about remakes and stuff. Is
the nostalgia factor.
Nostalgia.
Yeah.
Because it's like I remember people talk about how hard the Lion King game was.
Yeah, that game was. I never beat that game. I can't get past the giraffe part. Or no, the riding on the back of the ostrich. That's what always screwed me over.
That was a tough part, but I got so good at that game that it just wasn't a challenge to me anymore. I know if I go back and play it now, well, that's not going to be the same, but like, for a minute there, I was wondering, why is everyone calling this a hard game? I was so good at that game. But then I started thinking about, how I got to be so good at that game, and I'm like, oh yeah.
I played it constantly for like years.
That was like one of the only games we had on the Super Nintendo when we were Nintendo. So it's like...
So, Bram Stoker's Dracula for me is kind of like an honorable mention. It's not like actually one I direly want to see. I just figured I'd throw it out there because I've got this in alphabetical order. But there is one that I definitely do want to see, and this one is called Drakken. I don't know if you've ever played that one.
I have.
You have? That one was amazing. And basically, for all y'all that have not played Drakken, you had 4 heroes you had to choose from. You had a fighter, you had a scout, you had a mage, and I forgot what the 4th one was a priest. And you got to either pick from a pre-rolled character set, or you got to roll your own character, and it was kind of like D&D, where you would dice roll your stats, and you'd get a set of stats to choose, like basically to like either pick that set of stats or risk it and try to re-roll for better. And you went through a world where it was just those 4 heroes fighting against like dragons and other monsters, and it was really fun. And I would love to see that one updated. That one would be a really good update. Even if they just remastered it, it'd be good.
Yeah. I remember I did not do so hot when I tried to roll for better stats on those characters.
No, I just kept re-rolling until I got what I thought I wanted, and that was it. I didn't hack it either. I didn't even know there was a cheat for it.
Yeah.
The one thing that was kind of upsetting, though, is when you haven't saved in a while, and then all of a sudden you get a random celestial combat, and it wipes your party out, because just some celestial monster comes out of the sky and just completely nukes your entire team.
Rude.
Because you were running outside in the middle of the night.
Oh, when I say didn't hack it, I mean I didn't do so well. Not that I didn't hack it, but...
Oh, okay. You didn't hack it. Okay, good.
Yeah, right. I couldn't hack it. I wasn't that good. Yeah. I don't know what it was, but back when I first played that, I wasn't particularly knowledgeable about all the details and whatnot. Yeah. If I remember correctly, I didn't even own that one. That one was another one that I borrowed from a friend.
Uh-huh.
And that's why I didn't really get very far into it.
I got to beat that game. The ending was kind of a letdown, because it's like, yay, you did it! You saved the world! That was basically it.
Yeah.
No good victory fanfare. And of course, it was way before the cutscene era, so there was no cutscenes.
Yeah.
Demon's Crest is an honorable mention. I would like to see that one, because I played the Game Boy game Gargoyles, which was, I believe, a sequel to Demon's Crest. Demon's Crest, basically, you play as the demon from Super Ghouls and Ghosts, the flying demon that harries you. And you're trying to save the demon realm from other demons. And that's kind of the same thing with Gargoyles. And it's kind of a side-scrolling platformer as well, with some puzzle aspects, because you have to use various abilities, because you can only fly so high or so far, because you have like an energy meter when you're floating. And you had to use abilities to, like, so you can grip temporarily on spikes and stuff like that. And that one was also from, well, the Gargoyles one, which was the Game Boy one, was also password saves. I still have Gargoyles. The like Game Boy cartridge.
Ah, gotcha.
And I think it's on the Switch as well, if you have the premium subscription to get the Game Boy emulator.
I did notice that, like, Kiddo has a Switch from present for Grandma.
Yeah.
But with the and I noticed that you can get a lot of the more classic games from
our
era.
I will say this is a quick sidestep. Nintendo goofs a lot of things up, but their premium service for their emulation library games is Chef's Kiss. No, they don't cycle it out. They just keep adding on to it, and it's the flat rate yearly. I think it's like $60. You get NES emulator, SNES emulator, Game Boy Advance, Sega Genesis, N64. That's a lot of games that you can get. Now, they did goof a little bit. Some of the games have multiple copies on the emulator, but I think it's like regional versions.
I gotcha.
So like, there's like a few of the same game on there, but other than that, they did really good. I like it. It's like that's the only company that I have a premium service for right now, and I'm primarily Sony, and I only have the basic PS Plus just so I can access the net because I am really pissed off at Sony about their premium service. So that's another podcast day.
That's a topic for another day.
Yeah, definitely. You have any? What's your next one?
Well, it's kind
unless
of
you want me to kind of continue on.
Yeah, I should contribute a little bit, right?
I don't mind. You're a good soundboard. You add your own 2 cents in.
Yeah, I know it's kind of funny, especially with all the talk about their current software and whatnot. Specifically, Dark Souls and whatnot, and everyone loves all the FromSoft games. But I want to see one of theirs remade. Well, particularly, I want to see a lot of their older classical games remade. None of which I can actually remember the names of currently. But there was this one of theirs that I played. You could start as a soldier or a woman who owned the house, a house lady, and you could equip all sorts of stuff. It was an RPG style game, and you could walk through it. I don't even remember a whole much about it, but like my mom and I played it, and my mom really loved it. And I kind of want to see that one remade, but mostly for her sake, because she absolutely loved it when it was out.
I don't think I've played this game. It's unfamiliar to me.
God, I wish I could look up the type on my phone right here.
There you go.
This is why Google is my friend.
Right.
FromSoft game. Ah! I just got a notification.
Yeah, I heard it. Bring. How did my notification sound? That's because I have it set to vibrate.
Not Kingsfield. That's the really classic one.
Never heard of it.
That one's another dungeon crawler.
Ah.
Engine Arms.
Another honorable mention would be Earthworm Jim. I would love to see the Earthworm Jim series remade.
Those were fun, yeah.
They have good potential for it. And I'm just like, this is one of the series I didn't get to play too much of that I am sad that I missed out on, but I will eventually get to it. Unfortunately for the Switch premium service, they only have Earthworm Jim 2. They don't have the first one, so at least I don't think they do. I remember seeing 2. I don't remember seeing 1. So if I do play it for the channel, I'll have to start with 2, which will drive me nuts. But a big one, F-Zero. I want to see F-Zero remade. And the reason why I said this is because if you took the engine from Rocket League, because they could definitely do that, and if you took that engine and you applied it to F-Zero, it would be crazy. Like being able to ride up on the walls and like rocket boost and all other stuff, being able to jump and like do aerials while you're racing.
Yeah.
Woo, that'd be crazy. Because F-Zero was some fun stuff. I love me some F-Zero.
Yeah, we've been getting a lot of good systems to run things on lately. That a lot of the stuff that we could remake, we'd get a lot of really good.
Yeah, you get some good mileage out of it.
Yeah.
Instead of just getting a little polish, and that's it. A little spit polish and calling it a remaster does not make a remaster.
Right.
Now, this one's probably going to cause a little bit of controversy, but this is the very first Final Fantasy that I was introduced to. And it does hold a special place in my heart due to that fact.
Evergrace. I found it.
Evergrace. Okay. Never heard of it.
Apparently, it was a sequel to Eternal Ring, which was a first-person style RPG game where you got a ring and you shoot magic and stuff. But then Evergrace was an RPG. You could play a couple of different characters in it.
Huh.
Yeah.
That sounds fun.
And that's, Darius the Swordsman and Charlene the Homemaker.
Sounds like I could tell which one was the hard mode.
Yep, definitely the Swordsman. Little did you know, it was actually a cooking simulator. But no, like, depending on which one you chose would be your starting equipment and whatnot. And, like, I don't know, it was a lot of fun. I actually remember nothing about the story of it, but it was a lot of fun to play. Maybe it's just because it was something that me and my mom used to, talk about together and whatnot. And it's funny because I was definitely a teenager at the time this game came out. But, like, darn if I can remember what was happening in it. It's like Eternal Ring. Eternal Ring was the prequel to it, and I played that one and beat that one. But darn if I can remember.
Yeah, right. But anyways, the controversial... It's fine. You figured it out. That's all that matters. The controversial one that I have being the first Final Fantasy Mystic Quest. You play that one?
I knew you were going to say it too. No. Well, I did kind of. That was more of I watched my mom's boyfriend play it. It's funny because, like, I didn't think I'd ever even seen it before. And then I looked up images of it and I'm like, oh, I remember that.
Yeah, Mystic Quest holds a very special place in my heart. Especially considering the fact that a lot of the tropes it had are not used anymore. Like, people talk about how, like, it's so crazy nowadays that they got games that you can destroy areas, and like you got to do that in Mystic Quest. That was in a SNES game because you had to use bombs to blow up doors and tunnels, and at one point you throw a bomb to dislodge a boulder to open the way to the next area, and they had it set up that, like, the enemies had absorbs and, like, resistances and, like, death weaknesses. Like, for instance, there were tree enemies, and if you swung an axe at them, they pretty much died instantly because they're weak to axes. Or the ooze monsters, when you threw a bomb at them, it pretty much killed them because they're weak to explosives. And it's like, you don't see a lot of that nowadays with the games due to the fact that, like, some enemies, like, we'll take World of Warcraft, for instance. You can throw a fireball at a lava elemental and hurt it. It doesn't absorb the fire. And it's just like, why? Or, like, you can make ghosts bleed. How? Are you making it bleed ectoplasm?
Nobody makes me bleed my own blood.
Yeah,
Nobody.
right? Nobody but me.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I'd like to see that one remade. That would be pretty cool. It'd be a nice little moment. And and it's one of those instances where you're talking about take a bad game and make it better.
Redeem it, man. Redeem it.
Yes. And, like, people keep talking about how, like, it was so bad that it was called, like, North America Final Fantasy because it was supposed to be so light. It's like, bring it back. Fix it. Make it. And you don't even have to, like, you can, with those types of games that are meant to be kind of, like, introductories, you can give it, like, the original thing and just update it. So that way it's like the easy mode. And then you could do, like, a complete reworking, and that's the hard mode kind of thing. Like, you don't even have to just, like... Yeah, you can still keep the original.
Yeah, it's like you don't even...
Yeah, that's one of the ones that I really would like to see done. You want me to go with another one, or did you... how many more do you have left?
I had one in my mind, and then you brought up Final Fantasy. That's what brought it up, and I was like, What was it?
Oops, sorry.
Nah, no, it's fine. Just you reminded me of it, and then it just kind of left while we were talking about it.
Just kind of pooped out.
It's like, I don't want to be here anymore.
All right.
Speaking of don't want to be here anymore, I died.
Aw. I'm gonna go on with another one.
Yeah.
I don't know if you did played this game or not, but this is another one of those RPGs. A lot of these are RPGs, by the way. I goofed. But basically, I don't know if you've heard of it. It's called Lagoon.
Lagoon?
Yeah, Lagoon.
I figured used with Lagoon.
No, like Lagoon, like the land mass.
Body of water.
Yes. So, Lagoon, you played a character named Nazir, and you started off in Lakeland, and you're trying to figure out why the water has become tainted and muddy and dirty, and you're trying to bring pure water back to Lakeland. And you go through all these areas, and then you find out that there's like a big conspiracy to bring about the end of days kind of thing. And you have a buddy named Thor that you meet up and, you know, befriend, and you find out that you're both children of prophecy. Both you and Thor were born, and you're prophesized to be like great either saviors or destroyers. And Nazir got taken up by Matthias, the like prophet of light, and Thor was taken by, I believe his name was Zalera, the prophet of darkness or something like that. And the last boss ends up being your best friend, being possessed, and you have to try and free him. It's either you free him, I think you do free him, but it's like you have to quote-unquote kill him to free him kind of thing.
My friend, no.
Yeah. I never got to finish that one. That one was one of those games where the last boss was difficult due to the fact that it was like a boss rush mode, and you had to fight Zalera in like 2 forms, and then you had to fight Thor in like 2 forms, and it's like, ugh. I always ran out of healing by that time, and I always ended up losing. But it was still a good game.
Yeah. I remembered what my game was.
Okay, what was it?
Technically, it's the series, really. Ark the Lad, actually.
Ark the Lad. I've heard of it, never played it.
Oh my god. It was so good. Actually, technically, 2 RPGs came to mind. But Ark the Lad was a kind of a tactical RPG instead of the, you know, what do they call it? Instead of being the RTS that a lot of people are like, oh yeah, that's so cool. It was kind of more along the lines of, that one game that, Disgaea.
Yeah, that one game.
Or, yeah. Disgaea, or I guess Final Fantasy Tactics would actually fall into that too. But it was strictly linear, story-based RPG. The original one was, anyway. As it went along in the series, it got a little bit less linear and gave you more of an open world RPG style. But yeah, it was fairly. Sorry, these bad guys are being mean to me. What was I saying? Like in the original game, you're literally using the characters to get to the end of the game, to the end of the story, and save the world. The second game, you come in, you're new people, but you know, still kind of along the same lines, and you have to fight your way through the story to the end of the game. The third game, it's like you come along, it's like now you have an open world to go explore in. You can recruit different characters and all that fun stuff, and then you can even start recruiting some of the classic characters. And it's like, ooh. Yeah. And then eventually you get to save the world. And then the last one was actually on PS2.
PS2?
I think it was PS2. Yeah, the last one was on PS2. And it was completely different. It was like, it turned into a pretty standard RPG style game. After that, so, you know, lost a lot of the individuality that it used to have, but it still kind of kept some of the quirkiness of it.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then my other one, my last RPG. Honestly, I don't even care if they remake this one. I just want to see more in the system. And I've actually heard some other people voice interest in this too, but Suikoden. Yes. Such a good series.
I'm not sure. I have to look it up, but I might be breaking your heart, buddy.
That's okay.
I believe that the Suikoden game creator died.
Yeah.
So
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Oh, he was the co-creator. He's the writer, producer, and director of Ayuden Chronicle, 100 Heroes. Yeah, he died back. Actually, recently, he died back in February 6th. I don't know how if they're gonna go with any like type of redo or anything, due to the fact that a lot of with Japanese culture, if the creator happens to pass away, they usually retire the content and don't do anything with it ever again. Unfortunately, that's my worry. And I'm not trying to rain on your parade, but
I mean, a lot of the things that we're talking about, like I'm not holding my breath for them to actually make a remake or remaster of any of them, because they've got no class.
Yeah. An honorable mention would be Pitfall: The Mayan Adventure. Did you play that one?
Yeah.
That one was really cool. I liked how they made it kind of like a kid Indiana Jones, and it was pretty good with the engine and everything. I love the little platforming.
Yeah.
A big one for me, though, that I definitely want to see is a game called Soldiers of Fortune. Have you heard of that one?
I have heard of it. Either that or I've just heard of the movie.
Okay, so this game is like World War II era, steampunky kind of thing, where this Baron, he basically conscripts a mad scientist to make him an army of indestructible like monsters. And so the guy creates a machine that generates said monsters, and then he imprisons the mad scientist, and he tries to take over the world. And you get to choose from a ragtag group of mercenaries that are the Soldiers of Fortune, and you get to go in and try to defeat the Baron and destroy the machine. I didn't get to finish this game because the machine fight was, oh my god, ridiculous hard. But actually, you get to pick two mercenaries. I remember now. You get to pick two mercenaries, and it's either a two-player game or the second mercenary is controlled by AI. And their AI is okay. They just tend to eat a lot of damage, and it's kind of a sky view overhead, kind of like Contra, shoot 'em up, bullet hell kind of thing. And you have power-ups, and after every, I think, like 4th level or something, you get to use your accumulated money to upgrade your stats and like your firepower, your endurance, or like your ability to carry more items or to get better items. Because each mercenary, they have a set of stats, like their weapon fires differently. When you level up the weapon, the shots are different. Like sometimes one character has like a huge shot spray, like a conal shot. One has like a laser that's weak, but it blasts through enemies to hit multiple targets. And basically, you're just trying to find that nice complement between the mercenaries for like their abilities and their ability to do damage, kind of thing. Just so you can survive. And it's a cooperative thing because each player has their own money pool, So if one person eats more of the money up than the other player, then the other player is underpowered, and they end up becoming a hindrance. So you have to kind of balance it. You can't be too competitive or greedy.
Right.
And that would be a really good aspect for a co-op game, which is one of the things that's lacking nowadays in gaming, is like couch co-op kind of thing. Or just co-op in general.
Right. You don't see enough of really good ones these days.
What'd you say, bud?
We just don't see enough really good co-op games these days.
Yeah, right. Primal Rage is another game that's kind of like I could take it or leave it. This is an honorable mention. It was a fun game to play. It was a nice little change up from like Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter, where you're playing as like prehistoric animals and stuff like that.
I remember that. Yeah.
That was a fun one.
Or just I played that one. I didn't have one.
I had it. I used to play it, but I didn't play it too often because I'm not really a fighter game person.
Yeah.
They didn't remake it, but they made it accessible. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time, and of course they also gave a sequel to it, or kind of pseudo-sequel with Shredder's Revenge. So I'm glad that those came out, and I'm eventually going to buy them when I get some money.
Same here. I've been eyeballing those for a little while.
I'm sitting on it because I thought that when you bought the game, the Cowabunga Collection, I thought it was all of them. Turns out Cowabunga Collection is only the original games, and then Shredder's Revenge is a separate game to buy, and that's kind of making me a little upset.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when I bought the limited edition for Village, and I didn't get the DLC for it, like I was supposed to. God damn it, Capcom.
Always Capcom.
Yeah, right.
Why is it always one of you three?
This one I never got to play, but from what I read about it, it seemed pretty interesting. It's a game called Zardian. You have to play as different robots, and they had their own like abilities that the other robots couldn't do. Like one could shoot up and stuff like that, and one was like a panther, so it could climb. And
wait, you can aim upwards?
Yeah, right? In Super Nintendo Land. I don't have too much on it, but it's one of those, like, maybe they could work with that kind of thing. Because another thing that we don't get a lot of is robots.
Yeah.
So
I actually know of a pretty good robot game that would be a good remake, too. Kind of along the lines of Primal Fury. We had one called One Must Fall.
Yeah.
It was a giant robot battle game, but like Mortal Kombat style.
Huh.
Yeah.
They had a Gundam set up like that one too. And they this one I would love to see a remake of. I think they could make a lot of like changes and updates to it. They released it on the PlayStation Network not too long ago, like maybe like a year or two ago, and I have it. But it's basically just a port over. It's not like an update or anything. And it's Zombies Ate My Neighbors. Which I would love to play with you in a co-op sometime. I never finished that one because that game is difficult if you don't beat it in one sitting.
Yeah.
Because the passwords don't save your gear.
Oh, sure.
Which is the one thing they need to update. Because it's nothing like going into the last boss fight with just a squirt gun.
Yeah.
And no upgrades.
Like, you can do it, I believe in you.
Yeah, right. You can't even kill them. You basically just end up game overing constantly.
Yeah.
That's the Zombies Ate My Neighbors was the last of the SNES era for me.
Cool. But we do actually have to stop it here because I'm getting about that time where I'm going to have to leave.
Okay. I guess we'll part 2 this.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
It's always good to have a follow-up idea.
All right.
But anyway, yeah, thank you all so much for joining us for our not first, but first episode of the Babbling Beards podcast. Hopefully you enjoyed
The
it.
first Redux.
And, yeah, if you have any topics or anything,
You could say the remake of Babbling Beards. Haha.
Yeah. Remastering because you don't have a beard.
Thicker,
You don't
fuller,
have
shinier.
Yes. With the greatest of beard oils.
Yeah, right?
I'm still getting attacked by bad guys.
We will definitely take into concept any type of like recommendations for topics that you guys would like to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Hence, like what we said, consideration. We won't like
No
always be
guarantees.
picking up on it.
Right.
But you never know. We might just pick that topic up.
Yeah, and then we'll point a finger at you and be like, nerd.
Yeah, right. We will gnaw on it like a fine dinner bone.
Dinner.
Yes. Yeah,
But anyway,
if y'all liked it, go ahead and give us a thumbs up by hitting that like button. And if you're not a subscriber to our respective channels, go ahead and subscribe to keep up with our content. And don't forget to check out Steps Basics channel to get his side of him dying and Steel Rising. That's
and
what
Babbling Ninja.
Yeah, and me basically just farming and crafting. And comment down below. We like to hear games that you would like to see be remade. What games you thought were kind of stupid to be remade, and which ones were horribly remade. And we'll see you in the next video, right, buddy?
Yep. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. I'm gonna go ahead and get ready to end my stream in a second. I just had to kill this giraffe-looking monster.
Yeah, don't let that giraffe get the better of you.
Yep.
He's smelly.
Alright, I'm closing out.